Nicknamed the key to the continent, it was said that the destiny of North America hinged on a lone fortress in upstate New York. Strategically placed, Fort Ticonderoga, Iroquoian for the land between two waters, had a reputation of being impregnable and was on the front line of two bloody wars. If the fort ever changed hands, it could determine the outcome of an entire military campaign. Originally called Fort Carillon by the French in the 18th century, the star-shaped fort was located near the southern end of Lake Champlain. Its location in the mouth of La Chute River gave it strategic significance, commanding valuable supply routes north to Canada and south to New York, and beyond. On the front line of the French and Indian War, Ticonderoga was the launching point for the French army that laid siege to Fort William Henry. But under British bombardment and the threat of capture, the French destroyed most of the fort and abandoned it in 1759. Recognizing its strategic position, the British took over. At the outbreak of the Revolutionary War, Fort Ticonderoga housed only a small garrison of redcoats, but it was also a base for British military operations in the region, with an arsenal of weapons and supplies. Critically, it was a key point along the route to or from Canada, making it a target for the colonial army. On the morning of May 10, 1775, a squadron of colonial troops, led by military officers Ethan Allen and Benedict Arnold, surprised the lightly manned British garrison and captured the fort without firing a shot. Once inside, they discovered a treasure trove of artillery. Henry Knox, an officer in the Continental Army, arrived at the fort in the winter of that year. He loaded sleds with cannons and supplies and dragged them across the snow-covered roads and frozen rivers of New York and Massachusetts. This noble train of artillery finally gave the Continental Army the firepower it needed to force the British out of Boston. Ticonderoga continued to serve as the first line of defense against British invasion from the north, but the focus of the war soon shifted to the south. Fort Ticonderoga no longer held the same strategic importance, and the British abandoned it in late 1777. As the war came to an end, George Washington came to Ticonderoga, touring the ruins while waiting for the final peace treaty to arrive. Rebuilt many years later, today, visitors can walk in his footsteps, experiencing the history of the fortress for themselves.